and welcome to my channel. Well, this is the last in the series of the exam ready preparations and just a day away from your practical examinations to commence. Well, it's the final one. It's on family study and we will be discussing, as promised, some questions and answers that are usually faced while you are being crossed on family study. So let's begin. The very first question that comes in the mind is, what is a family? A family is a group of biologically related by adoption or by the institution of marriage, with individuals living together and eating from a common kitchen. A very related question is, what's the importance of a family? The importance being, it's not only a social unit, a cultural unit, an epidemiologically significant unit as it reflects the health of the community as well. Well, what is the purpose of the family study? Well, the family being the unit of all these realms, it lets us see the relationship between the environment, the health and the health hazards arising out of the environmental conditions in actual. It makes you learn how to assess the housing and environmental conditions at the community level, to learn about the scopes of application of community health concepts like housing standards, safe water, waste management, vector control, and many more. And most importantly, not only the health aspect, it also makes us aware about the social practices of the community and learn how to deal with this while you prescribe management for the same. A very oft asked question is the difference between family study and clinical social study. In family study, the unit is family, whereas in clinical social study, the unit is patient. In family study, the individual in context of family health is studied, whereas in clinical social study, family health plays a minor part. In family study, external environment is an important aspect to know the total family in a holistic manner. But when you are doing a clinical social study, do you ask him, where do you dispose your refuse? Where do you cook? Where is the, if it is an open kitchen or not? No, you don't ask about these things because it is not significant. The socio-economic component is important in a family study. As you all remember that we always, inquire about the expenditure pattern, what are the components spent on, how are they doing it, what is their socio-economic class. In clinical social study, it's not significant. In family study, the dietary assessment is a very important part of the entire study. That what is the family consuming, where are the deficits and where are the excesses and how to balance it out. But in clinical social study, it is not much apart from over deficiency. And it's very, the advices are very generalized. Family study is largely preventive and promotive in nature, with health education playing an important role. Clinical social study is largely curative in nature, where health education as such is not emphasized in particular. So coming to the types of family, as you all know, there are three basic types: the nuclear family, the joint family, and the three-generation family. The nuclear family is also known as the elementary family. It consists of a married couple and their dependent children. Here's another term that's often asked: that what is a new family? A new family is a nuclear family within the first 10 years of formation of that is marriage. Joint family is also known as the extended family. It consists of a number of married couples and their children living in the same household. All the men in the households are related by blood, and the women are their wives, unmarried daughters, or widows. The three-generation family, it occurs when the married children of a couple continue to stay with the parents and have their own children. Hence, three generations are related by direct descent and live together. Here, a very commonly asked question is household. That what is the difference between a family and a household? A household is usually a group of persons who normally live together and take the meals from a common kitchen unless the emergencies or exigencies of work prevent any of them from doing so. Persons in a household may be related, unrelated, or a mix of both. So when the house help who works in your place and stays 24 hours with you is a household member but is not a family member. Again, another question asked is the vital events. What are the vital events? The vital events include the live birth, fetal death, adoption, marriage, divorce, judicial separation, death, etc. Some important terms to know. That is, the examiner might ask you who is the head of the family, and supposing you say X or Y, he or she may be asking you why do you think, why do you consider him or her as the head of the family. Remember, it's not always who is the eldest member or the highest breadwinner who is the head of the family. It is the decision maker of the family concerning the health seeking, the expenditure, the marriage decisions, who is considered as the head of the family. Some other important terms often asked is who is a literate. A literate is a person above the age of 7 years who can read and write with understanding in any language. When you ask about the socioeconomic status and all, you may be asked what is a poverty line. A poverty line is defined as the expenditure required for a daily calorie intake of 2400 per person in a rural area and 2100 in urban areas. The actual cutoff in terms of money depends upon the ongoing price. Another important aspect is the socio-economic status. In urban areas, it is estimated with the use of modified Kupusami scale. Please don't forget to use the term modified. It is used by some common factors like the occupation of the head of the family, education of the head of the family, and the family income. In urban and rural areas, both the BG Prasad scale is applicable equally. It takes into account the per capita monthly income, that is the total household income divided by the number of family members in that household. While the Uday Parikh scale or the Parikh scale is used for the rural area only. It is based on 9 factors, that is caste, occupation of head of the family, education of the head of the family, level of social participation of the head of the family, land holding, farm power, material possession, and the type of family. You may be asked that how did you determine the expenditure pattern? Here what we have done, we have asked about the following items, the expenditures done under each of the heads like the food, rent, education, lifestyle, transportation, medical, substance abuse. In the modified BG Prasad scale for assessment of socioeconomic status, there are basically 5 classes. There is upper, upper middle, middle, lower middle, and lower class. In the modified Kupusami scale, the assessment of socioeconomic status of individual takes 3 factors: the education, occupation, and income of the individual as parameters. The education of the head of the family is given a score of 1 to 7 depending upon whether he is illiterate or has a professional degree. Varying in between, the numbers also vary. The occupation of the head of the family is given a score of 1 to 10, again varying from unemployed to the highest possible, that is professional, with unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled, clerical and semi-professional jobs varying in between. The total per capita income also has a score of which varies between 1 to 12. And the total score based on 1 to 12 is again revised as per the current price index. And the classification based on the total score, the class is determined. So if it is below 5, we called it a lower socioeconomic class. 5 to 10, upper lower. 11 to 15 is lower middle. 16 to 25 is upper middle. And 26 to 29 is upper class. Now coming to the environmental conditions, the very commonly asked question is how to assess overcrowding in a household. Well, as you all know, there are three criteria. The persons per room criteria, in which the number of persons in the household is divided by the number of rooms in the house. Here, do remember that an infant, that is a child under 12 months of age, is not counted as a unit. Children within 1 to 10 years are counted as half a unit, and all those above the age of 10 years are counted as one person. Next is the sex separation criteria. According to this criteria, overcrowding is considered to be present if two persons above 9 years of age of opposite sexes, not husband and wife, must sleep in the same room. And the last criteria, that is the floor space criteria. Measure the length and breadth of all the rooms, calculate the floor area, which is length into breadth, and the minimum standard for floor area per person has to be set at 50 square feet or 5 square meter. So less than 50, nobody should be staying. And the optimum for one person is 70 to 90 square feet. And for two persons is 110 square feet. Now, another important question in this regard is how to judge adequacy of ventilation. It is usually judged by the cross ventilation present or not. That if there is a window or door or window facing on the opposite wall, ensuring the cross ventilation, and the other way is the ratio between the floor area and the window or door area. The total window area should be 1/5 of the floor area, and the total area of the doors and windows taken together should be at least 2/5 of the floor area. Now, how to judge the adequacy of lighting? So if one is able to read newsprint in all the corners and the center of the room, and also the darkest portion of the room, in the absence of artificial lights, the lighting can be considered adequate, provided there is no glare and the light doesn't directly fall in the eyes. Very important aspect is the nutritional assessment. It is based on the ABCDs. What are these ABCDs? A is anthropometric, B is biochemical, C is clinical, and D is the dietary data to determine whether the individual is well nourished or malnourished. Remember, malnourished is not just about undernourished, it's also about being overnourished. And in the anthropometric, remember, when the person is less than 2 years, length is taken, and more than 2 years, standing height is taken. In weight, less than 2 years, we use the Salter scale, which is basically a scale that is suspended from a point with a pocket-like cloth pocket from which the child is suspended. And based on deflection of the hands of that clock scale, the weight is determined. When it's more than 2 years, usually the weighing scale is used. Another age-independent nutritional assessment method is the mid-upper circumference that measures the circumference at the midpoint between the olecranon process and the acromion process and the olecranon T. Conversion to indicators, that is BMI, is weight in kg divided by height in meter square. Here is a depiction of how we weigh using the Salter scale. You can see there is a cloth pocket and the baby is being inserted into it, and then that clock-like weighing machine at the top suspended from a point, and that cloth is suspended from the lower hook of that clock-like weighing machine. This is another age-independent assessment of nutritional status. That is the Sharkey tape. It has color-coded zones, that is the red, yellow, and green. The red zone is significant of malnourishment. It is usually when it is less than 11.5 centimeters, as evident by the picture. 11.5 to 12.5 is the borderline nourishment, and more than 12.5 is normal. A very relevant question asked in this family study questioning is who is a reference Indian adult man? Well, a reference man is someone who is between the age 18 and 29 years. Weight 60 kilos. Height 1.73 meters. BMI 20.3, and free from disease and physically fit for active work. The Indian reference woman is someone again between age 18 and 29 who is not pregnant, not lactating, weight 55 kilos, height 1.61 meter, and BMI 21.2, and free from disease and physically fit for active work. Another important concept asked in this section is the ACU, that is the Adult Consumption Unit. Well, the energy requirement of a reference man doing sedentary work is taken as the 1 ACU or Adult Consumption Unit. The concept of consumption unit has been developed by ICMR for assessing the need of energy, and the other categories of people are compared in respect to that 1 ACU. As has been reflected here, the adult male sedentary is taken as the standard 1 unit, moderate worker is 1.2, heavy worker 1.6, female sedentary is 0.8, female moderate is 0.9, adult female heavy worker is 1.2. Adolescent between 12 to 21 is again taken as 1. There are different types of dietary surveys. It's good to know their types. There's weighment of raw foods, weighment of cooked foods, food frequency questionnaire method, but the method used in your studies is the 24 hours record. What is it done and how is it done? The homemaker is asked to recall all the foods consumed by the family in the past 24 hours. After this, the amount that was consumed is probed, and the amount of each raw ingredient that went into the cooking of the items is asked. And a chart is created in which the food groups, the food items, the calorie, the protein, fat, the minerals are calculated from each of these items and the total. Another important thing to know is the RDA, that is the recommended daily amount. It is defined as the average daily dietary nutrient intake sufficient to meet the nutrient requirement of healthy individuals in a particular life stage and gender. RDAs vary from group to group. That is, it is different from adult male to female to infant to children and pregnant and lactating women. Here it will be good to know the extra calories needed for the pregnant and lactating women. Compared with the RDA, the consumption is calculated to find out the excess or the deficit. The average intake by the family is divided by the number of CUs to obtain the average intake per CU, and this intake of each food group and nutrient per CU is compared against that recommended by the ICMR for the sedentary man. The percentage by which the daily intake per CU of each item of food and category is lower or higher than the RDA for that sedentary man are calculated. These are also plotted in a bar graph for better visual comparison to RDA. Besides, you may be crossed on the health status of the individual families. That is, you may be asked about your index case, which may be a pregnant woman, which may be elderly with non-communicable diseases, or an under 5 child, and you have to accordingly answer based upon the family that you have carried out. If you have an under 5 child in your given family, then it is good to know the immunization status of that child, the nutritional status of the child. And coming to the most important part, there is a family diagnosis. This family diagnosis is nothing, it's not a summary or you go lines and lines, it's just a very precise, briefly putting on the gist of the total family that you have visited. Supposing the family given to me is a 4-membered Hindu family headed by Mr. X, a 52-year-old teacher and sole breadwinner residing in an urban area belonging to upper socioeconomic class as per the modified Kupusamy scale. The family resides, other members of the family are his wife who is diabetic and 2 daughters, 16 and 13-year-old, who are studying in school with no obvious departure of health. There's no social or economic issues and no malnutrition found. So basically you have to give a very precise diagnosis of the family. You may be also asked about what are the actions taken, what were your recommendations, and that should take good care of your family study. Thank you so much and all the very best for your coming exam tomorrow. Rock it.